Hey everybody, it's Angelique Duffield from Bright Spark Media and welcome to the Speakers One Sheet Design Masterclass. I'm so excited for having everybody here, and I am testing out some new webinar software as well. I'm using Webinar Ninja and just seeing how it works. I have to say it is incredibly easy. I've used Webinar Jam a lot for my clients and for myself before, and Webinar Jam, I mean, it's fairly easy to walk through, but this makes it so easy and just chunks down the process. So it's it's interesting to see it from this dashboard point, and hopefully everybody can hear and see me. So if you can just type in the comments, just say yes if you can hear me. I've actually got my laptop on at the same time just to make sure. I don't have the sound on, but just to make sure that everything is flowing properly. Okay, so if you see me looking over to the other side, I'm just looking at the other screen just to see that everything's working well. All right, so I will get started in just a minute. This is the first time that I'm doing this webinar, and it's also a brand new product, so I'm so excited to share with you the Speaker One Sheet because I know all of you are wanting to get out there and get booked to speak, right? And so many people I see struggle with the design aspect of things, whether it's social media graphics and Facebook ads and websites, and of course one sheets. All of the graphic design stuff is actually really the same. So I didn't have to call this a one sheet design masterclass. It could have actually been just a graphic design masterclass, but it covers so many different things. So even if you are not ready to work on your one sheet, these will help you to just create better graphics and create them more quickly, because what I'm going through using Canva, you'll be able to transfer to all the other different graphic design needs that you have for running your business. So I will just pull up my screen. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and pretty much everything is going to be in Canva today. And I have used the free version of Canva for any of my demos, for the demo videos that I do, just because not everyone's going to be paying for the Canva for work. And everything that I show, you'll be able to use in the free version. So how great is that? All right, so let me just start sharing my screen. All right, so bizarre to see myself here. Let me just move a few things around. Got some notes in the background for me, so let me see. I just want to make sure I get everything covered today. All right, so this is what we're going to be covering. So basically, I'm going to do I'll give you a few tips to start off with to get started. And actually, before I dive into those, why don't I just say what you should have open for the masterclass. Most of you are going to have gone through and written out your text and things. If you've taken Chantel Adams' Center Stage program or been in the Courage Collective, she's got some really great resources and on her website, and I think I've shared the link for her 21 days to get booked. That is a fantastic resource. And I think it's day 20 of that resource. She's got a list of everything that you need to have on your Speakers One Sheet. So you want to have your bio and the topics that you're going to be speaking on, whether you just have one topic, one main topic for your keynotes with the descriptions, or just a list of bullet points of your descriptions, any testimonials that you've got, and the person who said it and maybe the company that they're from, any social media URLs, so the links for those. So it'll be written out like this one, and we can actually in Canva change it to a clickable link if you export it as a PDF. And you want to just have a document with those open, because when you're doing something creative, it's easier to have all of your things in one place first. So that's basically my first design tip when you're doing any kind of design work, or even writing blog posts or writing a book chapter. You want to do all the left brain stuff first, so all the thinking and the processing type stuff, which is also writing out your bio and your descriptions and things, and have those ready in a folder, just so you can go back and just grab back and forth. Like I always have a text note or a Word document open, so I can just dive back and forth. and have all those things ready so that you can just straight work on the design part and just drop everything in there. So you're also going to need your pictures, so whether you have background pictures or your headshot, and I would have a variety of pictures, both horizontal and vertical, so you can test them out when you're doing your design. Any of your design elements, so you can see I've got like a fancy background, and these are kind of my branding colors, things like this, so maybe little squiggles or sparkles or anything that you can pull from all of your branding to make your one sheet unique. And then of course have Canva open. So if you have the one sheet design templates, if you've already purchased those, I've got a beautiful special deal on right now for my pre-launch. And if not, you just need to grab any kind of, if you go to open Canva, just you open up a US letter, and there's all sorts of design things here, so you can just grab a design and just play with it as we're going along. It's just so you can get to use some of the different features. All right. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, just give you a few tips. So the first one is to have all of your design elements ready when you're ready to get into the design part. Have all that ready for you, so you can just work on the design and not work on the editing part. And I'll go through some quick tricks that you can do. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be covering are maybe a little bit more advanced Canva techniques. If you've not used Canva before, there's help up here. There's really great 2-minute tutorial videos that are so easy to go through and makes it really fun. So they've kind of gamified it, and it's pretty user friendly. And if you've never used it before, I think you can probably follow along with this and get your one sheet done and dusted. And then I'll show some extra things. Like if you don't know, if you haven't had a style sheet from your web designer or from your graphic designer, you can actually just go to your website and find your fonts, find your colors. So I'll teach you how to do that. And that'll be useful, like I said, even if you're doing your social media graphics, your blog post graphics, Facebook ads, presentations, and if you're on stage, you're going to be having your PowerPoint possibly behind you. You want to make sure you have your branding. So this is kind of the feel of my brand. You can see this, my logo and the colors and things like that. It's a little bit bright and fun. So you want to make sure that you're being consistent with that. And then I'll just go over a couple of tips on if you don't have professional photos. I've got a fantastic tool that nobody talks about this because everybody's into Canva and PicMonkey. And I'll show you a tool that you will love if you're trying to do some things with your pictures. And if I totally recommend that you can get professional pictures if you can, and if you can afford it, and if you're at that stage. But I don't want it to stop you from going out and creating your one sheet or creating your website even if you don't have photos. So at the very least, you want to have some pictures of you, and pictures of you smiling, of you representing your brand, like in your brand colors, and whatever feels good for your brand. You want to make sure you have some pictures like that. And then of course have some pictures, hopefully, of you speaking. So if you haven't had a chance to speak on stage or you haven't got any good ones, you can always mock those up. But definitely you want to have at least a good headshot and maybe a variety of shots that you can start to use in your sales pages and in your website and that too. So this will be really helpful for that. So like I said, this isn't all about speakers one sheets. This is a masterclass that'll be good for creating all sorts of graphics. And I will come back at another time and show you how to or do another masterclass on how to get all your design pieces together for your website and sales pages and social media. But that is a whole other story. This will just give you a few tips on that. All right, so you've got everything ready. So why don't I just go to the design one sheets. Let me see. I did have a couple of extra tips that I wanted to give you. This is a little bit different masterclass than I would normally do. It's watch over my shoulder, more or less, and there aren't a lot of tips that I can give you because it's a very specific topic. But there's one thing I wanted to share with you, which is a fantastic resource. If you haven't had a graphic designer work with you before, or you're not quite sure the feel of your brand yet, maybe you're just starting out, or maybe you're in transition and you're changing your brand, then you might want to go through a great design quiz. This is one of my favorite resources for clients who are working on their website with me, or who are trying to get a feel for their brand and, you know, work a lot with clients on everything from online strategy to sales pages and website design and marketing funnels, and all of that needs to have a feel for your brand. So there's a really great quiz that I recommend, and it's by Sarah Hart. So she has what's called the Legendary Brand Quiz. And if you pop over to sarahhart.ca, so SARAHHART.ca, you'll see her Legendary Brand Quiz, and it's a very beautiful quiz. And you go through that, and I think she comes up with 6 options at the end. And inside that quiz, it will give you an idea of elements to use in your brand, font combinations. So if you want to make sure that you're not using too many different fonts, or you want to have some fun fonts and some like design elements and things like that. Hold on a second. I see message that somebody's saying it says it hasn't started yet. So I see it on my screen. Let me just pop back to make sure. Like I said, this is new software, so let me see. I can see my screen, and it's screen sharing. Yeah, it does look like it's working. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Cindy. She did pop in a comment before, but I can see it on my other screen. So I'm just going to keep going, and hopefully you guys can see things because like I said, I can see it. I've got my other laptop open and signed in as a guest. All right, so yeah, so back to Sarah Hart and her design templates. Yes, so if you are trying to come up with your branding and some elements and get a real feel for your brand, she's got a fantastic quiz that you can go through, and it helps you with the font combinations as well, and color combinations. And then she's got Pinterest boards to support that. So I really recommend trying that quiz. Even if you've got your branding, it's a really fun exercise to do, and it'll give you some ideas and inspiration. All right, and next we're going to talk about Canva. Of course, I already talked about the wonderful Canva that I've used for such a long time. Now I've used Photoshop since it didn't even have layers when I started using it in version 2. And Canva is still such a great addition because it's really quick and easy, and because all the stock photos and lots of elements and all that fun stuff is already part of their designing package. So it makes it really easy for you to grab all of the design elements that you need, and they sell the stock photos as well. So everything is there for you in one place. Now the stock photos are $1, so it's reasonably priced when you're doing your branding. I also use deposit photos. There's always a deal every year by AppSumo. Unsplash is a great place to go for free photos. And if you, like I said, it's great to just use the free version of Canva. It does so many things. Now I do have the paid version as well, but I went to do this demo on a different account that I have with the free one to show you how you can do everything for free. But the benefit of using the Canva for work, it's about $12.95 a month, I think it is right now. You can import your logo and create a brand palette, and you can have all of your logos and design elements all there in one place, and you can save your fonts so you don't need to keep going looking for them. And you also can do magic resize, which is pretty useful. So maybe you're going from a Facebook cover photo to a Facebook ad, or a video thumbnail or something like that. So it's really useful if you're going back and forth and just want to keep the same design and then just repurpose it in different ways, so it makes things really quick. And I think that's the main reasons that you would want to use it. So you can save things with a transparent background as well. Although it's not working the way it used to, probably about 6 months ago, I noticed that it's not saving it for everything. So that's why I've got another little design trick for you. Yeah, so then the other thing is just to start from where you are. So my third tip is, I've already covered this a little bit about photos, that you want to make sure that you've got photos that really represent your brand. And if you don't have If you haven't had a chance to work with a professional photographer and get some stage shots, just to take some fun pictures yourself, just use your iPhone. You can put it on a tripod and just set off the timer. You can do it with a friend. Just go out and take some pictures with some plain color backgrounds. I really recommend that if you are trying to use them for something like your one sheet and you're planning on doing the cutouts, there's some really, really interesting layering that you can do if you've cut out the background, and this is really trendy right now, not just on one sheets, but on web design and things like that, on your social media graphics, on blog post graphics. Then you can, if you have a white background, you can actually remove the background really easily. And so just hang up a sheet, or crushed velvet is actually a better way to do it. It doesn't show the wrinkles and things, and you can actually even use that for background if you're doing Facebook Lives or Periscope or webinars or anything like that, just to have a background. But definitely if you're taking pictures, try and have it on a white background. It's easier to remove. So that is the third tip. And now I'm going to dive into the actual editing your one sheet template. So if you have purchased the templates, then this is where it would open up, and I give a editable Canva file. So I'm not sure if you knew that. If you're not too familiar with Canva, you can actually share your designs and allow someone else to work on them. So it's great for teamwork. And in this case, it's great because I can share it with you in Canva. So unlike something like Google Sheets or Word documents, which I really wouldn't recommend, or PowerPoint, you've still got access to all the fonts and all the images and backgrounds and elements and all sorts of things that you can use in Canva. So that's why I created it here instead of in something that I might normally use like a PowerPoint. All right, so you would open it up, and then the first thing to do is make a copy. So make a copy, and then once you've made a copy, change the name, and then just save it for yourself, and that's it. So then you can delete all of these, the kind of instructional slides, and then just dive into editing your one sheet design template. And if you've purchased the bundle, you'll see that there are about, I think, 8 or 9 different variations. So it's one bundle theme, and then there's everything from if you're an author, if you've been featured in different places, if you've got multiple testimonials, or if you want to have a tagline and a testimonial, or more than one picture. I've made it really easy to update and move things around and cover pretty much every possibility, I think, if you're a speaker and what you would want to have on your one sheet. All right, so when I was talking about a cutout photo background, this is what I'm talking about. You can see the background is actually transparent, and you can move it around and layer it like that. So it's probably one of my favorite things to do, and create photo quotes. So this could say this was a picture of you, and this was your just a blank background or a colored background. You could actually have tweetables or your tagline, or if it's from a video that you've done or a podcast interview or anything like that, you could have just one nugget of information, one tweetable, and have that with your picture. And that gives you some credibility and some brand recognition when you're sharing that on your social networks. So things like that, like I said, they're really useful, not just for your one sheet, but for other design aspects as well. All right, so this is the design kit that you get, the bundle of templates. And even if you're doing a one sheet, because normally they're back to back. So even if you're doing 2 sheets, you could just take the design elements and just use this as, say, as page 1, and then replicate it, and maybe you remove the picture on page 2, and maybe page 2 has your author information or where you've been featured. So you can actually use this as a sheet design as well. And then to download it, all you do is make sure that you're saving it as a PDF. So by default, because this one was like a US letter format, it says right up here, so 8.5 by 11, it would give you the option as a PDF. So you can change to JPEG and PNG, but you definitely want to save it as a PDF if you are going to be adding it to your website, or you're going to be emailing it to event organizers. And then you can just use, if you want, 1 or more to download. And that is just a super quick summary on where to what you'll see if you have the one sheet bundles. Like I said, if you are following along and you don't have a bundle yet, just go to, just open up any US letter, and there are a whole bunch of layouts that you can just play with and use it to just play around with it and test out some of the things that I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to cover some of the useful pieces that you would need to customize this and turn it into your own brand. All right, so let's just start with one of these. And I always make copies just in case. And I would normally make my own copy and then have one that I've saved as a master. And that way, if you've messed anything up, or sometimes Canva, I mean, it is a tech thing that it does get glitches and sometimes doesn't save, or sometimes you move things around and you can't figure out how to get things back. So first of all, I would make a copy of the entire design. And then second, I would just replicate the page. So you'll see the same page will be there twice. And that gives me the ability to preserve the original one if I need to come back to it. All right, so I'm just going to start with this one. And of course, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to use your own colors and fonts. Now, if you use Google for Work, you can actually upload Google fonts. So if you're using some custom fonts, you'd be able to do that. But if not, Canva has dozens of fonts that you would be able to use. And if you just go through them all, there are so many fonts, and quite a few of them are standardized fonts that you'd see, like Oswald and Montserrat and Arial and Times. So even you can probably find something that's pretty close to your branding fonts. All right, let me see. So let's just start with something really simple. So if you wanted to just change the colors, obviously that's pretty easy. Just click on one of the design elements and you'll see the little color picker up here. And here is, you can see this is just it starts to collect colors from the page. So you can see it's got the browns and things like that as I've been going along. And then there's a default font, or default color palette, and the black and white. So I'm going to start with one of the tricks that I was telling you about. And if you are not sure, oh my goodness. So like I said, this is an online thing. So sometimes glitches happen and it's no longer saving. So I'm just gonna have to reload that. I'm not sure what's going on with Canva, if they're going through some sort of upgrade or something like that, but I've noticed recently that things are stalling a little bit more or a little bit more glitchy. So that's what you get for using a free tool, or even if it's a paid tool. Like I said, sometimes it's they're going through a bit of transition, or there are also just a lot of sheets that are open as well. So if you know that you're not using all the design templates, then I would delete, especially things like this that you don't need. And now I'm just waiting for it to catch up. It's taking a lot of computer power because I'm broadcasting as well at the same time. Let me just pop over here and and it's still screen sharing, so I'm not sure what's happening with that. This is where it's really good to have an assistant on with you to answer questions and do troubleshooting. right, so I will just go back to customizing it. So sorry about that, just wanted to check in. Okay, so I'm going to actually delete some of these too. So first I'll just make a copy. This is what you would do when you open it up. And then I can actually close the other version. Close down a few windows as well. So while that is opening up again, a couple of my free and super valuable tools when I'm trying to find fonts and colors for design purposes. So if you want to continue your branding and have a really recognizable and consistent brand, which is really important, then you want to keep your colors and your fonts consistent across all of your elements. So like I said, whether it's your website or your social media graphics or your presentations or your one sheet, you want to keep all of your designs consistent. So one of the things that you can use, I will go to my own website. And show you how to use, this is called Colorzilla, and it's spelled the American way, C-O-L-O-R-Z-I-L-L-A. And it's an extension that adds to either Firefox or Chrome. And you can just look it up. I think it's in the App Store, or just look it up in Google and you'll be able to download it and add it. And this is a great way to find the fonts directly from your website or from any live web page. So it could be a sales page or a blog page or anything like that. So you can see that you can actually pick the colors, or what I'm going to show you here is the web page color analyzer. So this it looks at your entire page all at once and gives you all of the colors that it finds. So for instance, if I scroll through, you can see the different elements. So right here is this turquoise, and it actually even jumps to it, and it highlights where it's used on the page. So the kind of lime green, and there's a couple of different oranges. Obviously, I wasn't quite consistent with it. And you could just go and pick it individually, but it's really nice that it can grab all of the colors at once and pull them together for you in one place. So if you click on any of these colors, you can see it's coming up with these details. So the RGB, that's something that you might use in Photoshop, or if you're in printing, it would be CMYK. But this here is the hex code, and this is used all the time in any kind of graphics programs for determining your colors. So whether you're using Photoshop or sorry, whether you're using Canva or PicMonkey or anything online, Google Docs and Google Sheets, anything like that, you could just grab your color code and drop it into, I would copy it into a Word document if you're not using Canva for work. For Canva for work, you can just drop those into, they have a color palette picker, and you can actually have it save all of your colors for your brand. But if you don't, it's not a big deal. I would just have a text document and just name the color. I can't remember what one that was. I think it was the teal. And then just go back to this and click on it again. So that was the, oh, so there's the green. So just grab this one. And I said to get everything all organized in the first place. And this is part of getting organized. So if you've worked with a graphic designer and they've created your logos and your branding, or even your website, they should have provided you with a style guide. So that would be all of the design elements that you might have used, like any patterns or squiggles or stripes or polka dots, or like a brush stroke that you might have used, or sparkles, and your colors that they've used, and the fonts. They should have given you a document that has all those listed for you to just refer back to really easily. But if they haven't, then this is a really good way for you to go and grab that yourself and just create your own little style guide. And I would keep that just as a document somewhere, so it's really easy for you to get to, because you use this in all sorts of things when you're working on your website, if you're doing your blog posts, and like I said, especially if you're creating graphics and things like Canva. Let's go back to this, and I'll just grab one more color, just the orange. So that is 3 different colors that I've chosen that I would say are my brand colors. And then the next thing you want to do is analyze the fonts. So the second little tool that I'm going to show you is called, right here, it's What Font. And there's another one called Fount as well, F-O-U-N-D-T, I think it is. And again, it's just something that you add to your Chrome browser. And if you click on that and you hover over, you can see that it shows you the different fonts that have been used on any text, and this is on any website. So if you are looking for inspiration and you have come across somebody's sales page or their website and you love a combination of fonts, maybe it's a really nice script font and the body font, and you aren't good at font combinations because you're not a graphic designer. I have to say I'm not. I use design elements that people provided or that I find elsewhere, and then I reuse them and repurpose them. So I don't do logo design and things like that. That's not my background, but I do know how to put them together because I've just looked for people's recommendations before. There's all sorts of tech stuff that goes into deciding what fonts go with what ones. So yeah, so you can see I'm just hovering over, and Lato and Francis 1 are the 2 main fonts, and then the third one here is Play Fair Display. So I would just make note of those. And there you go. So this is essentially what I would consider a branding kit or a style guide. The other thing would be like design elements. And so that third thing, oops, I can just actually turn this off now. And the third thing is to collect your design elements together. So things like I said, squiggles and gold, and you can see so polka dots and a paint splash. Those would be what I consider my branding elements. Even the little brackets here that are part of my logo. And just go to a blog post, and you'll see kind of a standardized blog post graphic that I use. So again, it's these are the colors, like the kind of teal, orange, and light green. And this is like a watercolor background that I think you can even get it on Canva. I probably got it from Deposit Photos or CanStock Photos or Unsplash or something like that. And then even things like, this is a different font that I've used as well. I can't remember what one that is. I could analyze it if I wanted to, but you get the idea. So it gives you kind of a feeling for pieces that you could use, whether it's your one sheet or whether it's your design graphics. So, excuse me, so I put those together and have them in a folder so that I can upload everything at once. And yeah, so then I would actually upload those elements into here. And like I said, just use, I just got a couple of examples. This is not my regular account. This is the free one, so I could just show you some examples. But I mean, let's say this was your speakers one sheet, or let's go to the speakers one sheet here. And let's say I just wanted to use one of those design elements somewhere, like maybe as a divider or something like that. Then I would just pull that in. I'm just probably not going to show there. Let's say I just wanted to use it somewhere, just drag it in and just find places that you can use those design elements. Now at the end, I'm going to show you another example and how to customize it with some other people's websites. So one of them is someone who's created their one sheet with the templates. And I'll show you how she went from this design to create something that totally looks different and totally on brand for her. All right, so once you've got all of your fonts, of course, like I said, you want to go and start customizing things. So any of the text, you want to make sure that you are consistent throughout and using whatever text that you found that makes sense with your website. So just go and change the text to the font that you want. So that was Lato, I think that's in here. Yeah, so you just change the font. And while it's thinking about doing that, and it's changing, I'm just going to delete some of these. So that's something else I would recommend as well, just to not use quite as much memory. Delete any of the pages that you think you're definitely not going to use. Obviously, the instructions, once you've made the copy, you won't need that anymore. And some of these things you might look at and think, oh, I'm not an author, I don't need that one. So remember, you've made a master copy, and then your working copy, you delete all the extra things that you don't need. So let's just get rid of this one. I would probably keep 2 or 3 just as you're working. Maybe you change your mind, and you can actually drag and drop elements back and forth. So this one. So let's say you've closed all but a couple of them, and let's say you are an author and you want to customize this book cover. So the elements that I've used in the design package are customizable. Anytime you see in Canva this kind of hashed grid, that means it's a paid element. So with this, you could go and find your own book cover and upload it, or just a screenshot. Like, let's say it's a Kindle book or something like that, and just drop the cover in there. But these pictures here with the grid marks, this one is a stock photo, and that might work if you just want an audience picture or something like that. But you can actually drag these elements over to another one. So let's say that this book is what I want to use. I can actually just drag it to one of the other pages. So this is what I said, you can actually use this as a 2-page design if you want. Just move the elements around and create page 1 and 2. And obviously you're going to have different information on both pages. So maybe on your front page, you just have your name and your bio, and then you have your topics on the second page. And maybe you've got one testimonial on the first page and another testimonial and a big tagline and your book on the second page. And maybe on the second page, you don't need to have an image at the bottom. So that's how you could easily turn it into a 2-pager as well. All right, so let me just delete a couple of, so just delete that design element. So just go back to the one that I was working on. All right, so we've customized our font. So the next thing you want to do is use your colors. And you can just click on here. And once you change it, the great thing is you can actually change it throughout this whole document. So let's say I want to change it to gold. And you can see here, there's a little thing that says change all. So obviously you're going to be using your own branding colors for the entire series of templates, or a couple of different pages of it. So go ahead and check all, and you can see it's changed it through all of the designs. So that's a really easy way for you to not have to go through and pick them one by one. And the same thing will happen, I believe, when you change your font. Actually, no, it won't. Unfortunately, that you will have to go through each of the elements and customize your own font. But I tried to pick something that's quite simple and generic, that's really easy readable. So if you don't want to change them, then that's fine too. Okay, so that is a couple of the pieces that I wanted to go through. Now let's talk about, if you're not quite familiar with Canva, there's things like arranging. So that's the way things are layered on top of each other. So this is a very familiar term if anyone's used Photoshop. And right here, to make the text stand out more, to make it more readable, and just to make it more on brand, I've added some layer graphics. So this is just a rectangle that I layered over a picture. And you can see if I don't have that layer over it, that the writing doesn't stand out very much. But I wanted to use the picture and make it a little bit fade into the background a little bit more subtle, and make the text really pop out, but still have that element in the background. So these layers you control up here in Arrange, and you can just move them forward and back. And then, of course, as you move it forward, you'll see the little layering dots over here, and then it's going to start to cover the text. And if you've ever made a mistake, you can actually go back and undo here. So that's Control Z or Command Z if you're on a Mac, and that's the keyboard shortcut to do that. And I think that should be fine the way it is. So the other thing that you want to look at is this layer. Obviously, if I brought it in, it would be 100% solid color, and it would be the dark blue that I was using for the branding before. So this is the transparency changer right here. You can see it's at 86%. So like I said, if I brought it in, it would be solid. So if you only have one photo that you're going to use, then that would be your headshot picture. And maybe you don't want to have an image in the background. I think I've even given an example. So one other thing is if you're pulling in pictures and you see this kind of blue and green stylized background, that means it's where you can just drag in a picture. So you just hover over it and you just need to get it in the right place, and it will actually move the picture into there you go. You can see it kind of sink into the background instead of being placed on top. And then it will replace that, that frame background. So I've used the same thing in these bio pictures right up here. And if you need to move things around, then you can see I can slide around the picture in the background. And you can resize it as well. So you just grab the corners and resize it and move it to somewhere that makes sense. So that might work for a background right there. And then once I've got it in place, then I would move this layer, the color filter layer, I'll call it, and just move that back into place, and maybe change the transparency on this. Now that I'm using a different picture, maybe I only need to be faded. And in this case, I probably don't even need that transparency layer, so you can just delete it. And see, this one is dark enough that the picture just happens to work without needing the filter layer. But going back to this one, these ones here, so this is just the filter layer in orange, and then this one was in the dark blue. Just because the picture is so much lighter, I mean, you could change the text to black, but it still would kind of get lost over here. So having that filter layer just makes sense on this one. And if you wanted to change it to the other color that was used before, and just like anything else, you just go to the color picker and change it to, I think it was a rust color. Let's just change it to this one for now. It's not got the color palette picked out for this one. And then just move it into place, like I said, same as the one before. So if you want to get rid of this picture here, so you don't want to use their picture and just substitute it, just hit delete, put it in the trash. And in this case, I didn't have the photo background. You could just have a color panel. I'll just put that back so it makes sense where it is. Yeah, some of them you'll see that I had that the little template background. So you can see if I delete this, it will just show up with this clouds and sky, like a placeholder background that you can just drag and drop and fill things in. So there you go. So it's really easy, and then you can just rearrange it. So if you wanted to actually change the background picture, you can use the filter. So actually, I'll show you just on a picture like this instead, or actually. So this one I can see has a filter on it. So if you see this picture compared to the one that I used up here, so this picture looks super sharp and the color is a little bit different. And in this case, I wanted to blur it and make it a little bit darker. So instead of using the filter background, I could change the background in a different way. So when you click on the picture, the filter is over here. And it gives you a whole bunch of different options at the top, including black and white. So this one is drama, but then there's some extra options down here, so you can change all sorts of extra things. So if you wanted to turn something to black and white, let's go back to normal. If you want to turn it to black and white, black and white just means it's desaturated. So you just pull that right down. But maybe you want to have a different black and white and have it more contrasty. So you can actually change the style of the black and white yourself and just play around with that. And in this case, I actually put a blur. So let's go back to News Drama. And then I put a blur on it as well. So that's sharpening it that way. And if you go the other way, then just blur it enough so that you don't see the people in the background. So you can still tell what it is, but so it makes it easier to read the writing that's on there. Okay, so another thing that you might want to do is crop the pictures. So in this case, and if I didn't have that, the placeholder, I could crop a picture. And I think that's what I might have done in this case. So you can see the picture actually is a little bit bigger than the space. If I wanted to actually crop it, then the crop tool is a little bit funny. So you can see that it brings up the cropping area. And let's say you didn't want to use all of that picture, so you just wanted to use this part of it. And you can see there's a window that shows you that's the area that you're cropping. And then unfortunately the Pinterest thing is up there. There you go. Click on checkbox. So then it's cropped the picture, but it hasn't actually changed the picture that you've uploaded. So that's a good feature. If you have a picture that maybe it's horizontal and you want to turn it into a vertical, then that's how you would do it. All right, so we are got a few minutes left, so I'll just show you a few other things. Oh, hey, Casey, thanks. Good, good. I'm glad that you find it easy. Yeah, I love Canva, and I think it's so easy to just change everything with these templates. So I've covered a lot of the things that I wanted to make sure that you knew how to use. I've shown you what font, that's how you spell it, and Colorzilla. So those are how to find your branding style guide, layers and colors, cropping and filters. So I'll just show you how to change the spacing and line height. So let's say you look at this text right here and you think it's a little bit squished. Super easy. You know, this is something that came out with not too long ago, that you can actually adjust the line height. So instead of, you used to have to go through and just have one line of text and then another line of text so you can move text boxes, which of course would be really cumbersome. So if you want to space it out a little bit more, this is super easy. So you can move it back and forth if it's too tight or if you want to spread it out more. And this works really well too if you want to fill a certain space, like on your one sheet, you want to have it look quite balanced. So you can just spread it out slightly and take up the right amount of space inside your design. And then if you want to have it centered in the middle of your text box or at the bottom, then you would use these spacing options. And the final thing was grouping. So just like in Photoshop, you have the ability to group elements. This is especially useful if you're moving things around. And for you in the one sheets, all these little tiny bits would be really annoying if, let's say, you wanted to move them and just adjust it up a bit, or maybe your picture would make sense on the other side, so you want to move all this text to the other side. Now I do have some examples where the text is on the other side and you could just drag and drop it, like this one, for instance. So you could just copy those and drag it over to another page. However, the easiest way is just to grab those all together, and I think I actually have grouped them together. And you can click on text boxes and click on them one by one by holding the Shift key. Now sometimes that doesn't catch all of them. So if you just start from the outside and let's try that again. Let me try another one that you can see a little bit better.
Okay.
All right, so just start from the outside, and you can see the text box is grabbing. You can see the dotted line happening around there. So that is grabbing all of those, and now they're all selected together. But of course, you probably don't want to move the background with it. So then you hold the Shift key, and you want to, essentially that's deselecting. Oh, actually, Command key there, Command key. And you want to deselect the background. You just want to select the text elements. And deselect, sorry. And deselect that background. It's not working. Okay, so you hit one of the buttons and deselect it. So at the moment, I'm just not working. So it's either Shift or Control or one of them. And it should deselect that background. There we go. So now the only thing that is selected is the text here, those tiny little symbols that would be kind of a pain to grab. And you can group them together. Now some of them are already grouped together. That's why it's not letting me group them. But you would be able to just drag that whole group over to the other side, for instance. And then let's say I want to just unselect that book your name, then just hold Shift and unselect that, because now I can see that I want to move these over and have them aligned on the right. And there you are. So that makes it easy to grab and move everything at once. So that covers, I think, everything that you're going to need to customize your own one sheet and a few little advanced design things in Canva. So now I'm going to go through and just show you some of these, some examples I've done. So if you know Chantel Adams, you probably know that her website is full of sparkles, and these are kind of her branding colors. And let's say that, actually, just pull up her website. So I would pick some design elements from her website. So you can see she's got the gold sparkles here. She's got this kind of pattern. So I would have all those in a folder somewhere. And then like these little things, the arrows and the kind of sideways are off center boxes, and this sparkly thing here. So she's got loads of design elements that you could pull in if she was the one doing the one sheet, the watercolor background here. So I would just pick one or two things. Something like the gold sparkles would be really easy to use as a design element, and then the purple and the turquoise are her colors. So I just did a quick mock-up so that you could see how it would look with something relating it back to your website. And she has storyology classes, so I've pulled one of these pictures from the website. So this is pretty much a straight design right from the design templates. But let's say you wanted to add something like the gold sparkles. Now here's another little trick. If you're on a website, now I also have the pin it button up here, so the little pin it extension, I think it's called a bookmarklet. And if you want to see if something is an image that's just floating or a design element, you can actually grab those off of your own website. And let's see. And if you right click, save image as, or open in a new tab so I can take a look. And let's say this was a, so this is the background. So this might be something really useful to use in the header of a one-sheet design, for instance. So that's just another little trick that a lot of these elements you can get right from a website. So if I hover over it, you can see it says save. That means this thing here that looks like it's text is an image. So if I right-click and open in a new tab, you'll see that that was actually saved as an image. But let's say I want to grab this design element right here. This one might be just an element. See, so this is actually text with a transparent background. So it looks like it's text, but this is actually saved as an image. So a PNG with a transparent background. So this is what I was looking for. So this is a little design element. So you can go to your website and right click and open as, and then save image as, and pull out some design elements right from your website. And then you would upload them into Canva. So for her, you know, she's obviously got her own pictures, and I couldn't find any sparkles, but let's say I can't find some element, so gold sparkles. And it's going to go through the Canva search and find different versions of gold sparkles that you could buy. So in this case, it might be worth purchasing. So it's got these splashes, for instance, that'd be kind of fun. So I can actually just drag it in and drag it over. Let's say I want to have it down here. It might kind of work to have those gold splashes. And you don't want to have it all the way up there, but you can see where the splashes could be covering the picture at the bottom. So I'm just going to delete that because I don't want it. So I was looking for the gold sparkles right here. And let's say I wanted to make it a little more on brand with the sparkles. So for instance, this color triangle here, I could, let's try to put that into the little, the frame. So super easy to turn that triangle into the gold design element because it's not actually a triangle, it's actually a rectangle that's just hanging off the side. And then I can delete the purple one. And then I just want to move the picture up to the front. Okay, so there you go. So you would do that, maybe have this as a gold sparkle background too, and you can see how easy it is to pull some design elements and to customize this. So I can see that this actually doesn't look bad the way it is, but now I want to have this turquoise slash. You can see that this is actually a rectangle as well, and just arrange that forward so it overlaps the way it did in the original design. And just keep moving it forward until it's overlapping properly. All right, so in this case, I would have to move the text forward as well, because you can see there's multiple layers to a lot of these things. So I'm just gonna leave that for now, but you've got the idea that if you want to move this forward, you'd be able to have it overlap properly. And that is how easy it is to just pull your own design elements in and really personalize it. So I'll show you another design. This is one here. And make sure that you save it before you go out and change things. And you can go back to Canva and see all of your designs that you've got in there. And I believe I have another one. All right, you know what? I'm just going to do this another way here. I just want to show you a customized one from Bailey, who took the design elements from her website. You can hear my husband running with the dog in the hallway. It's raining outside, so they're playing inside. Yeah, save now, so I can go to Canva, and it says that it's saved, so I definitely want to leave. And I've got another one that's been customized. And I think I've got it. I'll just use the link here. So this is one that Bailey has created from her own website, and I just overwrote her website. So again, going back to your own website and picking your own design elements. And hers is obviously pink and dark gray and bright colors. So her theme is the Happy Maker Extraordinaire. And this would be a good design element here, this kind of watercolor, and that is what she used. So looking at the design, so this is the starting point that she would have started with in the templates, and then pulled in some design elements to customize it, and you can see it looks completely different. Instead of having the two wedges here, she basically just made a rectangle right across, and she probably would have purchased a watercolor splash, or you could look here for it. So paint stroke maybe it would be called. So if you can't get it from your website, then you can always purchase it. So you can see these are here in Canva as well. So I would take something like this and then change it to your own branding colors. And you can see all she's done is drag it across, and maybe there's the watercolor edge at the top. And you can see the same element is used here and just made small and used as a background for any of the titles, and then pulled in your own pictures. And you can see it looks completely different from the original design template. And it's got all of her branding, and it really feels like her. It feels fun and vibrant and colorful, and it looks completely different from where it started in this kind of template. So I just wanted to show you how easy it is to really pull your own brand personality into these templates. All right, I think I've covered pretty much everything that you would want to do in Canva. And like I said, this covers everything from your social media graphics, your Facebook graphics, your website cover photo, like the hero image at the top. And you should be able to just go ahead and create all these sort of things. But of course, today we're talking about your one sheets. So I think that should give you a really great way to get started and to dive in and to create your own one sheet. And I think I've covered everything except for the one thing that you might want to do is cut out those images. Like I said, if you wanted to have the floating image on the background, then here are a couple of ones that you could use. And now, nobody talks about these because Canva and PicMonkey have so much of a nicer interface, but it is really, really easy to use this Lunapic editor to get rid of a background. So if you've taken some pictures of yourself on a white background, or if your photographer's taken some, and quite a few photographers don't do this. I'm a wedding photographer as well, and so of course I do my own photo editing. I've got a diploma in photography from back in the film days. Like I said, I've been using Photoshop since it was Photoshop version 2, and there were no layers, so that was pretty crazy. It's come a long way now to Creative Cloud, and you can be really a perfectionist if you're trying to remove the background. But if you want to have a really simple way of doing it, just go to Lunapic editor and go to more upload options, and it allows you to choose a file. So I'll just show you how easy it is to remove a background from a picture. So this one here, I saved a few extra ones yesterday so I could show you the example. And then upload. So this is a web-based platform, and in about 30 seconds, you can see it's not very sharp now, but obviously use a better resolution picture. But all we want to do is get rid of that white background so that we can layer this picture on top of things, on top of other photos or on top of color blocks. And it's under Edit, Transparent Background, and you'll see magically it's going to remove that background. Hopefully magically. Oh my God, I did this yesterday and it worked. There we go. So you can see it's removed the background. So you would just save that. So do File, I think it's Download, or Save As. file save image. So that's it. So that took what, 15 seconds to do. I can see there's a little bit of a line here, and you can probably delete that. You can go through and clean it up. But for 15 seconds of work to be able to save that and then upload it into Canva, into your own images, then you would have a picture with a background that you could layer over these. So that's how you can do it really quickly. The other way is to go to Fiverr, and it might cost you $5, and maybe they'll clean it up a little bit nicer around the edges. But for the most part, I think just doing that way should work. It's just when you've got the hair, that's kind of harder to get away from the background. But people don't use this editor anymore because it's not got the nicest interface, right, compared to Canva. It's old and clunky, and it probably looks like it's about 10 years old, but it works and it's super quick. So I just wanted to share that as a final resource with you. All right, so thank you, Heather, for saying that I'm amazing. I'm so glad that you enjoyed this this masterclass, and I've gone a little bit over time, but like I said, I think that's should cover pretty much everything that you are going to need. All right, and then the one last thing that I wanted to share with you is that I do have these templates available. So they are, they're super easy to use. You see that you get a whole bunch of variations. And if you have joined this masterclass, then I will send you some information on them. I can actually put it in, let me see if I can just post it in the comments. So since I've just started, I don't have any fancy sales pages up for these things yet, but if you are interested in purchasing these design templates, they are at a super duper early launch price. So there you go. I can actually stop sharing my screen now. This is feeling kind of strange to see myself. So stop sharing my screen. There you go. You can see all of me. So if you're interested, just click on the link there and you're able to purchase those templates. I don't see any other questions. Oh, thank you, Heather and Casey. So I did say that anyone who is tuned in live, I can see there's 5 people. Now, in webinar, I know that I can actually see everyone. Let me see. I can see everyone. All right, so I've got a few people online, and I said I'm going to do a draw for the templates for only people who have attended live, and with a free template pack. So I'm trying to think how I can do this. I'm just going to go to a random number generator. If you've ever used these, they're great for contests. And you can say the minimum and the maximum number. So maximum number to be 5. And I'm just going to count down from the columns. So whatever number comes up, it'll be starting column 1, column 2, column 3 of the people who are attending live, and pick the winner. Okay, person number 1. So go back to webinar. And person number 1 is Katya. And Katya, you've already purchased one of the templates, so I will contact you and see what you would like to do with it. If you want a refund, then I would gladly give you a refund. I do have other services available as well, but yeah, just let me know what you want to do. So yay, congratulations, Katya. All right, does anybody else have any other design, whether it's graphic design questions or about the worksheet specifically? I think I've already shared this before, but Chantel has the 21 ways to get booked. I'll see if I have that somewhere. If not, I think I've sent it out in the webinar reminders. There's a link to Chantel's Get Booked booklet, and it's got great information on all sorts of things to help you get booked as a speaker. But I think it's day 20 that she's got the tips on creating your one sheet. Give me a second, I will add it to the chat, because I think it's a super design resource, or a super resource for speakers. And you just sign up, and she's got a beautifully designed book with lots of great tips for speakers. So I'll put that in the chat box as well. And it's hard to type when someone's watching or when everyone's watching. There you go. So you click on that. And oh, the other one that I mentioned is the beautiful legendary brand quiz by Sarah Hart. Even if you have your branding, I think it's pretty fun to go through that quiz. So I'll share the link for that as well. So it's right on our website. I think I've got a different link for it, but if you go to our website, you'll be able to find it as well. So I'll just pop that in. And I think it's actually, I think it's blog and then quiz, but the link isn't, oh, there it is. Just taking a while to unload. And share that in the box as well. Oh, Heather or Casey, it's because you've probably grabbed the whole thing. It's got the text in there as well for Chantel's Get Booked. So yeah, it looks like it's turned the whole thing into a link. Let me just try and get that again. And I'm going to share my screen just so you can see the brand quiz. So this is Sarah Hart's beautiful page. So if you need any graphic design done, this is her beautiful quiz. And she also does, I'm not sure if she's working privately anymore. She's doing a lot of coaching and interviews and speaking now. But yeah, you just start taking the quiz, and these are the different things that go through, and then the beautiful design elements that you get, a workbook with it that goes through not just the brand feel, but the color palette and fonts as well. So I will leave that, and like I said, it's just a quiz for you to go through, and then you would get one of these booklets with all the fun details in it for you. All right, let me go back and grab Chantel's again, and I think I will wrap it up. Sorry, I've gone a little bit over time. Oops, don't want to end the broadcast now. There's the one for the 21 Ways to Get Booked. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, and congratulations again to Katya. So I would love to see any of the designs that you come up with. So you can find me at angeliqueduffield.com. On social media, you can find me on Facebook, so Bright Spark Social Media, and I'm also on Twitter. I'm not on there as much as Facebook, so I would love for you to pop over and share your designs with me, or you can actually reply to the webinar replay and the webinar reminders and show me what you've done. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you found that super useful. And if you need anything else to do to help you create an irresistible online presence, I've been called a tech demystifier and a business wingwoman, and I help you to do all of the stuff that you might not like as a creative, a consultant, or a coach, and maybe you're not great at the tech stuff. Well, that's where I am geeking out. So I can help with web design, sales pages, marketing funnels, webinars, and the whole webinar system. So if you've been on this webinar, obviously you've seen there's emails that are linked up with it, email marketing, all that sort of fun stuff that I like to do, and I can certainly help you with that as well. But I would love to see you over on Facebook and share your designs with me, and I hope you've enjoyed the webinar and found it super useful. And if you have, then yeah, I'll be sharing more of these things with you in the future. And I've had some requests. So Cindy had asked about sales pages. I thought that's a great idea. I can share that do a masterclass like that and walk through setting up a sales page. And in the future, in the next month or so, hopefully, I'm hoping to have a speaker-focused web design as a template. I'll see how that works out. And you would be able to set up a website using the Divi framework, so Divi theme. And then from that, I love that theme. It's so easy and versatile, and you can create sales pages on it. And to have a speaker-focused website, you want to make sure that you have somewhere that says you can get booked to speak. And that's one thing that when I'm helping clients with web design, I've had a few people say, oh, you know, I want to get booked to speak, but I don't know how. And I've got all these great things. And I said, well, do you have a page on your website that says, book me to speak or hire me to speak or speaking? And if you don't have that, then, well, people don't know that you're available to speak. So I'm working on creating a simple template that won't break the bank for those of you who just want to get a website up and started. All right, so thank you so much for joining me here today again. And I appreciate your time, and thank you so much. So, oh, thanks, Casey. I'm so glad you loved it. And you can catch the replay as well, so you can watch and follow along. Thank you, and I will see you next time.